Okay. I'm hoping mine worked okay.
We'll see.
We'll see. I'm also, my father was kind enough, I didn't pack my microphone, so I'm using my dad's setup. So thank you, Dad. Because
What a gem.
I'm visiting my parents, y'all. We're recording from New Jersey.
You know what's so exciting for me?
Hmm.
The fact that I can genuinely now say, I've been in that house.
I know. I know.
Like,
Memories.
memories.
You know what's exciting for me? I can genuinely say that there's a Wawa 3 minutes from here.
I've always wanted to go to a Wawa. Why
I
don't we
can't.
do that?
I don't know. I can't believe I didn't take you because, like, literally nothing there. It is unparalleled. Wawa. One does not simply go to Wawa. One experiences Wawa.
Experiences Wawa.
Exactly.
That should be a t-shirt.
Big time. Like for Hoagie Fest. That's in July. They should slap that on there. Wawa. Also not sponsored, but if you guys want to, like, that'd be
Let's
fine.
do it.
That'd be cool. Big fan.
Can Wawa sponsor us?
Can literally anybody sponsor us? Yeah, like anybody.
Please?
I'll take fucking stamps.com. I'll do whatever the
Anything?
fuck. It doesn't matter. It really
Sponsor
doesn't.
me. Sponsor Cassie.
Somebody.
Sponsor Oddities.
God, please, somebody.
Anyways.
Anyway, welcome back to Oddities.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Cassie.
I literally almost just went, I'm Cassie.
Why don't we just reverse the other time? Like the whole time, we just didn't say anything to anybody.
That's the kind of week we've been having.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. Damn, Dad's mic is fucking hot. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit.
This is going to be fun to
Yeah,
edit.
good luck to you. Holy shit. Okay. Yes, well, here we are. So,
well, welcome back to Strange Town.
That's right, by the way.
All of our stuff is linked down in our description. Follow along on our social media because it's fun. Follow us on Patreon. Join for $1 a month or $2 or, however you're wanting to follow us for.
However many dollars you're willing to give.
I'm not one to tell you how much to spend, but if you want to spend more, you're awesome. Thanks.
I feel like a fucking, what are those commercials? And it was Sarah McLachlan, and it was like, will you remember me? And it's just like, for the price of 1 cup of coffee a day.
Yes.
Like, every time we talk about this.
But you know what? It used to be a cup of coffee a day.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So, I'm just saying. Period, the end.
But
donate to our shit.
If you want to enjoy us twice a week, join just for $1.
That's
Enjoy the fun of mind-melting Cassie and Kelly time.
You can listen to us being incoherent, generally, twice a week if you'd like.
Processing.
Loading.
That
Did that
here's
kill
the funny
you?
thing. I'm like, me every day. Cassie nailed it.
Me too. It's me too. I think everybody can relate, so, yeah.
I was like, that was too perfect. Good job, bestie.
Thank you. How are you, my sunshine? My only sunshine?
I'm good. Highlight of my week was I started my week with a soccer game, and I told it wasn't in our normal seats. This time I was directly behind a goal.
Dicey.
And I told Cassie, I was like, I'm going to get hit in the face. I, in fact, did not get hit in the face, but I totally pulled a Cassie. And how may you ask? Hello, parents.
Oh my god, my dad just scared the shit out of me. Did you hear him laughing? So, get out of here.
Your face was hilarious.
Because I saw not my dad, I just saw his shadow in my phone, and I was like, oh, what the?
Cassie's getting a ghost. It wasn't a ghost.
Damn
Spoiler.
It. Next time, hopefully.
Any hoozles. I pulled a Cassie, and I ended up on the Jumbotron.
We love it.
And immediately went, where the fuck is the camera?
Did you genuinely not know where the fuck the camera was?
Genuinely, still don't know where the camera was. Still spent the rest of the game, because I ended up on it twice. And the second time, I still went, where the fuck is the camera?
Thank you for honoring me.
And immediately messaged Cassie and went, I pulled a you.
I don't know. Did I share that on this, or did I share it on the Patreon? In case I didn't mention it on this.
Oh.
I was on the Jumbotron at graduation, and like in the lead up to graduation, they like flash on a bunch of different people. And they go to me, and I'm looking the wrong direction, and you just see me looking up the screen going, "Oh, it's me," and then going, "Where the fuck is the camera?" I never found the fucking camera. So anyway, that's what we're referring to, in case we didn't mention that.
Highlights.
And you didn't get hit in the face, so that's great.
And I didn't get hit in the face, but we lost, so that sucked.
Well, say lovey. Win some, you lose some.
Say lovey.
Yeah.
We have another game this month, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So
lit.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Did you get the good fries?
I did. Well, I didn't get the loaded fries because my jaw is still a little tender, but their fries are still good regardless. So
nice.
It was still delicious. But you know what? I got a boat of fries.
Yeah.
And a bottle of water.
Yeah. Was it like $30?
$12.95.
Girl, did I tell you about the cheesesteaks at the concert?
Yeah. It was like $35 for two.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then $18 for water. What the fuck are we doing? That's all. The end.
Yep, that's it.
Bye, stay strange.
How
Take
was
care.
Your week?
My week was fine. What happened this week? We had our dryer vents cleaned, so that's great. And like the vents in the house. Big time. A lot of shit came out, so that's nice. I don't know what the people before us were doing. And then we work's been fine, a little wild, but fine. Today also we tried mobile grooming for the first time for the pups. That was neat. She was wonderful. Shout out to Fresh Paws LLC. They did a great job. And
how did the pups like it?
They did well. I'm very proud. And they each got blueberry facials. And they're very fluffy now. They look gorgeous. My gorgeous, gorgeous girls. Yeah, I know. Snaps for the pups. Also, what the fuck? I don't ever get facials, but that's fine.
Highly recommend.
Can like a mobile groomer come to, like for me?
A mobile facial?
Like a mobile, just like, yeah, whatever. Spa? Oh, business. Ooh. We're trademarking it. Fuck all of you. You can't have it. And then we also had we ordered like a big weight, like all, like total body weight machine type of thing. So that was delivered too. But it was like kind of a shit show because it all happened at once, right? So like I was recording the podcast for work. The mobile groomer finished up with the dogs and the delivery. And it like all hit at once. And so Corey was a true gem. And he navigated it all alone, so well done you. Thank God you were working from home today. And, we're going to Iceland. That's the big news. Corey and I are going to Iceland. You were going to
say it on the podcast. Yay!
Yes, we're officially booked. Shout out to our travel agent, Gudrun. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but I would imagine, based on how it's spelled, and the strange characters, like letters, that's how it's pronounced in my mind.
So excited. As I was telling my husband about this last night, which, by the way, he's very excited for you as well.
Hell yeah.
You've literally been talking about Iceland since the day I met you.
Dude, I know. It's time. It's been a long time coming.
I'm so freaking excited for
Thank you. Do you guys want in on this party? Come with us in October. It was actually really affordable. Like the tour? Yeah, I'll send you the info. The tour that we booked, it only comes to like... it doesn't include the airfare, but it comes to like $2,300 per person. It's 7 days, 6 nights. I don't think that's bad. I'll send it to you. I know. It's in October, bitch. Prime Northern Lights season. Yeah, so we're gonna do this thing. I'm fucking pumped.
So excited for you.
Yeah.
That is just...
Thank you.
Dreams do come true.
Dreams do fucking come true. It just takes, many, many years to get there. What are we, let me think. 8 years? Are we at 8 years now? Yeah. Yeah. Jesus.
Time flies because it doesn't feel like 8 years.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fucking get my cane out of the closet or something. I'm fucking ancient now.
You're not ancient.
Thank
you.
You. You know what, though? We booked the trip and immediately I was like, I need shoes for this. So I started looking up. You know what I want to get? Because it's going to be like, it's winter. We're going in October. It's winter there, so it's going to be like kind of rainy. We're doing some hiking. We're doing some glacier shit, like some shit. So I was like, I want waterproof sneaker boots. And I fucking found a pair. And I'm going to get some.
Nice.
They're cute. And they have different colors. I think I'm going to do the teal and the gray. Nobody gives a shit about this.
That's very you.
Oh, yeah. That's my shit. Teal and gray. All day, every day.
Look at the shirt you're wearing.
I know. This is the only shirt I wear. I'm like a cartoon character. You open my closet, it's just like 30 of the same thing.
Same.
You know what? It makes it easy every day.
The same color of everything. So
it's just athleisure all the time for me anymore because I just don't give a fuck.
I want comfort all the time.
That's why I'm pumped about Iceland, right? Because it's going to be cold, so it's nothing but sweaters, hoodies, leggings, and jeans. Sign my happy ass up. I don't need to
Live for
stress.
it.
It's just cozy.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, I can fill in kids more on Iceland as it gets closer. If anybody's curious, and if
Yes.
not, I'll just shut the fuck up. So, like the prattling little cow that I am,
There it is.
silly prattling. It's every episode. Quick, somebody give us a new negative review so I have something else to make fun of.
Kelly's yet to receive one, just saying.
Don't do it to Kelly. She's too wonderful. Or we'll take your nice reviews too. So, you know. Also,
You
thanks
just
to all the
review
people
us.
who have. Yeah, because, like, there's way more nice than there's, like, literally 2 bad ones. So, that's
Yep.
it. Toot, not to toot our own horns. Anyway, here we are.
Toot.
Cool, calm, and collected. 11 minutes in. It's how we roll.
Yep.
Mine... I was about to be so German for a second. I was going to say mine topic, which is so on par because my topic is very German. But I don't know. How do we want to do this time? Mine's not as heavy as you would think.
Well, mine's not very heavy. Mine, I feel like it is going to be on the shorter side.
Okay, mine's a little bit
Mine's just a
longer.
conspiracy.
Conspiracy theory. Mine's a little bit longer, so if you want
Go
to...
with yours.
It doesn't matter.
I've started twice in a row.
It's me then. I'm taking it. Jesus, take the wheel. Today, kids, buckle
Here
up.
we go.
Buckle up as we discuss the occult roots of Nazism.
All right.
The Nazis. Did you ever see Inglourious Bastards?
Yes.
Okay, so the whole time I was researching this, it was just Brad Pitt's voice in my head saying Nazis. The whole time. Just Nazis. So that's how I'm going to say it. So
that's how this episode's going to go.
everybody brace yourselves because I use humor to cope with things. So the idea of the Nazis' obsession with the occult has been actually a pretty popular one with the public. This is a relatively new topic to me. This is from one of our listeners. I'm a piece of shit because I didn't write down who, but I believe it is listener Emily. So I'm cautiously saying thank you, Emily.
I think it is too, because I remember that message.
And if you're listening...
Do you want me to look while you're reading?
It's okay. If you're listening and it wasn't you, Emily, but it was somebody else, please go ahead and, correct me. But anyway, it's pretty popular, right? But there is a lot of, misinformation out there about how involved the Nazis actually were with the occult. So there are some very bizarre theories. I'm going to get to, a handful of these that are the big ones, and then I'm going to give us actually a little bit of, some historical background, too, because my first degree is in history, and I'm a nerd for this shit. And while, anyway, the more fantastical theories out there may have not really any basis in reality, there are some real ties between occult societies. Of course, the disgusting, racist, terrible thinking, and the Nazis in the 19th and 20th centuries. So, buckle up, kids. Here we be. So, the actual mechanics of the Holocaust were planned with, of course, a cruel and meticulous rationality, but the Nazis, overall, I would say, were fundamentally unscientific. They were picking and choosing beliefs founded on pseudoscience to just support this really grotesque and terrible worldview that they had. So then it's no wonder, really, that they had this kind of enduring sort of obsession with the occult. So here's I guess, example number 1. And this would be that the Nazis are descended from Atlanteans. So as it turns out, the Nazi Party incorporated occultism pretty much from the start. So the political group that would eventually become the Nazi Party, so it's the German Workers' Party or DAP, was founded in part by individuals from the Thule Society, which was an esoteric group dedicated to studying the mythological origins of the Aryan race. There are several prominent Nazis who were either members or active within the society, including Rudolf Hess, who would become the deputy Führer to Hitler. Careful, kids. I'm going to try some German while we're at this. So, Alfred Rosenberg, who was head of the ministry that oversaw Nazi Germany's occupied territories in Eastern Europe, and then Dietrich Eckart, who founded the DAP. The Thule Society's primary focus was on the study of Ariosophy, which refers to wisdom surrounding the Aryans, which was founded by occultists Guido von List and Lons von Liebenfels. These fucking names. These individuals' beliefs would come to inform significant aspects of the Nazi state, such as von List's belief that in the power of magical runes, The most glaring example of this would be the twin Siegel runes that form the SS insignia. Now, von Liebenfels argued that the Aryan people were intentionally bred via electricity by interstellar deities called Theozoa. Go ahead and just let that sentence ruminate for a minute.
Resonate.
Yeah. Marinade.
Resonate, marinate. ADHD.
All of it. It's all of it.
Yep.
No. Resonate's good too. Just let it all soak in. So, and if that's the case, how can I find out if I was bred via electricity by interstellar deities, really? Because how else do you get to be this cool, right? I mean, I would say it stands for you as well. Anyway, other races, according to von Liebenfels, that were not Aryan, were the result of interbreeding between humanity and ape men. According to Liebenfels, gradual interbreeding had robbed the Aryans of their magical powers. And then Liebenfels would also circulate a magazine called Ostara, which was based on these beliefs, and the readership included a young Adolf Hitler. So, in addition to embracing these occult ideas, the Thule Society also believed that a Proto-Aryan race lived on the island of Thule, which was a mythological northern island that is probably more familiar by its alternate names, Hyperborea or Atlantis. So that's like belief number one, which is all full of what the fuck. I know, right? Then there's this Rasputin type figure, too.
Oh.
So, here we go.
Okay.
Although I don't know that he's rumored to have a big schlong like Rasputin did, so. Big Dick Rasputin. He's back. So anyway, yet despite all of its connections to the origins of Nazism, the Thule Society eventually dissolves, right? And this happens prior to Hitler's rise to power. Were you going to say something? Is it because I keep saying Nazis? Okay, because I can't stop now. All right, great. We're committing to the bit. So
it's embedded in my brain now.
Nazis! All right, so a great number of German occult societies were shut down. Not really because of any sudden surge of like skepticism or anything like that, but really occult-related activities and organizations were actually suppressed, oftentimes in Nazi Germany, at the behest of Heinrich Himmler's personal occultist, this Rasputin type of figure, and his name was Karl Maria Wielegut. And the point of this was to ensure that Wielegut's own brand of occultism would be like really the true philosophy of the Nazis. So Wielegut, he goes and he develops a religion centered on worshipping the Germanic god Irmin. According to Wielegut, the German culture actually dates back to 228,000 BC. I didn't even know that. I don't think that exists. I mean, I just don't think that's a thing. But anyway, it's a period of time when the Earth, in fact, had 3 suns and was populated by giants, dwarfs, and other mythological creatures.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah, so, which, like, I could get down with that time. Like, we got a bunch of shit walking around that's crazy. Sure, why not? But anyway, he claims to be descended from a line of kings from that period of time. And anyway, it also should be noted that Wielegut was later diagnosed as a schizophrenic.
That explains a lot.
Listen, we just finished up Mental Health Awareness Month, everybody, so I'm just saying. Himmler, who was an avid follower of the occult himself, he consults Wielegut on the side, and over a whole variety of things. And then using Wielegut's so-called prophecies, Himmler then chooses the castle Wewelsburg.
Your face just did the greatest thing ever.
I guarantee I fucked that up. To serve as basically a base of operations for his SS troops, and he established a room in the castle with a crystal representing the Holy Grail. And then Wielegut also helped in the design of a rune-covered death head rings that the SS troops would wear, which were personal awards from Himmler. Himmler, not Hitler. Himmler himself. So Himmler was particularly attracted to Wielegut's brand of paganism, because he didn't like the Judaic origins of Christianity. He was like, no, we can't touch that. Fucking people are so fucking... Alright, anyway. After the end of World War II, Himmler believes that, quote, the old Germanic gods will be restored. And so he leverages his influence and his boss's desire to see a Germanic paganism, and so he attempts to stamp out competing philosophies to this Irminism that he is so proud of. And then there's some really wacky shit out there, right? Like, as if this isn't crazy enough. There's little evidence to support some of this, but there's the idea that Hitler was possessed by a demon. Which I mean, really, is that so far-fetched? I don't really know.
Yeah.
Like, but some of these are crazier to me than that. Anyway, this theory is mostly based off of a passage that Hitler underlined in a copy of the book titled Magic, History, Theory, and Practice. And the quote goes, quote, "He who does not carry demonic seeds within him will never give birth to a new world." And I was like, okay. So then there's also been rumors of an occult society based on vril, which is a magical substance described in the book The Coming Race. The Coming Race is a 19th century work of fiction. It's about this traveler who explores this cave and then becomes lost and discovers this subterranean civilization. And there's these supernatural like entities living there called the vril ya. And in the novel, these beings made use of a fluid called vril, which they could telepathically manipulate to heal, destroy, or manipulate like their surroundings. So anyway, the existence of an occult society focused on a supposedly real version of vril, like, it's unverified, but it's not really that impossible to imagine that like such a society could have like maybe made its way up through Nazis. I don't know. Then there's other speculation, right? There's like some say that Hitler and the Thule Society worked together to secretly found a secret totalitarian global government called the New World Order. Others claim that infamous occultist Aleister Crowley had made contact with Hitler, or that Hitler had been trained in mind control techniques, and that's how he controlled the crowds of Germans he would address during his speeches. Others say he possessed the Spear of Destiny, or the spear that pierced like Christ when he was crucified, and it's claimed to magically guarantee its wielder victory in all exploits, with the caveat that if they lose the lance, they will then die. And then there's just like other things. So really, a lot of these things, of course, have no real basis. Like in reality, it's just like wild.
Wow.
I know, but developing fantastical magical theories about how the Nazis, oh, I slipped out of it, the Nazis came about and how they succeeded in like sowing and growing so much horror and destruction. It's like, it's just pretty crazy. And they, like, if they did possess some sort of occult power, then we wouldn't have to confront the horrible truth, which is that, of course, the regular flesh and blood humans are capable of these horrific, disgusting things. Which, as we know, of course, human beings are terrible of these horrific, disgusting things. So,
yes.
Yeah. Anyway, there is kind of a... I have some strange history behind all of this, if you're curious to hear it.
Yes.
So here's a little bit of a... I did a lot of fucking research on this, and it's a long... This is truncated, so everybody, like... I don't want anybody to email and be like, you missed this and dip it, because okay? Alright, so that's all. Anyway, here we are, March 1940. Hans Bender, Germany's best-known parapsychologist, writes to Karl Ernst Kraft, a young Swiss astrologer, that he had known since his days as like a doctoral student, and this was back at the University of Bonn. It was like a decade earlier than this, so 1930s, whatever. That's when he met him. Kraft recently ingratiated himself into like Nazi leaders. By seeming to predict the attempt to assassinate Adolf Hitler at the Burgerbräukeller in Munich on November 8th of 1939, because there was a carefully planted bomb that had exploded, and it killed 8 of Hitler's supporters, and it injured 63 others. The Führer had left the beer hall like minutes before this happened. So Bender complains to Kraft that Nazi authorities are once again cracking down on occultism and people who are practicing, quote, border science, which is like the study of supernatural forces that supposedly rest on the border between the real and the unseen world. And this encompasses a lot of pseudosciences: astrology, clairvoyance, graphology, palm reading, mind reading, phrenology, telepathy, like whatever, you name it, it kind of encompasses all that. So Bender's worried that the well of Nazi financial support and patience for such activities is running dry. Mm-hmm. Now, Hitler, Heinrich Himmler, and other high-ranking Nazis had shown a long-standing interest in the paranormal, like I've just discussed kind of, but they did worry that this over-reliance on occult beliefs would distract the German people from the teachings and tenets of National Socialism. So as always, the state comes first, right? And so, quote, Hitler declares in 1938, National Socialism is a cool and highly reasoned approach to reality based on the greatest of scientific knowledge and its spiritual expression. Anyway, he then says, this philosophy does not advocate mystic cults, but rather aims to cultivate and lead a nation determined by its blood. Of course, this whole concept of Aryan racial purity in itself is like a cult, I would argue, but fine. So Hitler doesn't worry about making statements like this, because no one would try to contradict him, because he was a crazy fucker. So, A mild, by Nazi standards, crackdown on border science, it already kind of took place between 33 and 37. There's like this whole thing. They tried to ferret out what was called, quote, obvious deceivers and conscienceless exploiters of people's lack of knowledge and helplessness. Meanwhile, Joseph Goebbels, I should say, the Nazi propaganda minister, was actively encouraging research in, quote, scientific astrology, if for no other reason than it was still popular with rank-and-file Germans. So they're all over the fucking map. Meanwhile, British intelligence services become aware that Hitler and the Nazis are avid horoscope readers. So they start planting false horoscope predictions, and it made a lot of, like, Hitler's supposedly bad luck, and a lot of it, like, what he had this bad luck sign. It was the Taurus sign, the sun sign. And so they would plant a lot of shit around that, just like fuck with him. And then German propagandists decided to employ similar methods against the Allies. Eventually they wisened up and they were like, oh yeah, this all has to be bogus. So anyway, October 1939, less than 2 months into the war, Goebbels announces that he was re-examining astrology with an eye toward using it for propaganda. 2 weeks later, he shows Hitler and Himmler a letter from Kraft that appeared to have predicted the assassination attempt against Hitler. Kraft's prediction fascinated Hitler, and then he asked Goebbels to look into how Kraft had managed such an accurate prediction. And then Himmler, who at the time was soliciting astrological materials for his own occult library, agrees with Goebbels' findings that the letter and its prediction were genuine. And so Goebbels is encouraged, and he's like, the whole world is full of this mystical superstition. And he writes this in his diary, and then he's like, why shouldn't we exploit it in order to undermine the enemy front? I don't know how these people make these connections. Like, he's like, oh, light bulb, let's, like, what the fuck? So anyway, he's committed to using astrology for propaganda. He bans German civilians from making their own astrological predictions. Boom. Gone. Not allowed. Now you have to only use the predictions that's fed to you by, like, the Nazis. So he also wants to make sure, as always, that he's controlling, of course, the message. So he draws a clear distinction between scientific astrology, that which Hitler, Himmler, and other Nazis endorse, versus propagandistic but not scientific brochures that his ministry would produce. And then, like many of his colleagues, Goebbels appeared to accept that scientific astrology was indeed possible. So, whatever. Anyway, in addition to building a team of, like, these astrologers, he then pays a visit to H. Kritzinger, who is a renowned radiesthesiologist, which is a water dowser. You know, like with those, like, things and you're searching for, okay?
Yeah.
So he sees to if he happens to have anything to contribute to, like, propaganda project. Kritzinger, who was busy with his own work, he's like, okay, no, why don't you check with Kraft? I have shit to do with water, or whatever. And so Kraft is like, okay, I'm already using astrology to advise Virgil Talea, who was a Romanian ambassador to Great Britain, and he was attempting to convince to side with Germany. But then before talking to Kraft, Goebbels delegates Hans Herwarth von Bittenfeld and Leopold de Gotterer, two officials in the Ministry for Popular Enlightenment and Propaganda, to draft a propaganda pamphlet based on the works of the 16th century French astronomer and mystic Michel de Nostradam, aka Nostradamus. So everybody's heard of Nostradamus. So they're like, okay, let's put together this pamphlet all based on his shit. We're just going to steal his shit. So these two that Goebbels are working with, he's like, they're hardly experts in the field. They just picked Nostradamus' shit because it apparently had supposedly pro-German prophecies justifying Hitler's systemic violations of the Treaty of Versailles and all kinds of shit. So anyway, all this leads to a variety of things. One, propaganda addressed that led to the temporary occupation of France. Then there's something that's formed, in fact, called the Nostradamus Division, which starts preparing brochures for the upcoming invasions of Denmark, Norway, and smaller Western European countries. And then despite profiting off of all of this by achieving high-ranking titles, swanky parties, like invites to that shit, all whatever, Kraft, privately, was beginning to have some serious qualms about Goebbels' manipulation of the prophecies. And so they quit, and they resign, and, like, Kraft is like, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my, quote, private practice, whatever the fuck that was. Then the Nazis overrun France in June of 1940. Goebbels shifts the focus of his propaganda efforts to support the widely anticipated invasion of England. So on July 22nd, as the Great Battle of Britain, this whole air war commenced, Goebbels used covert radio stations run by the propaganda ministry to spread false Nostradamus prophecies that London would be destroyed that year. And then another high-ranking Nazi official, Deputy Führer Rudolf Hess, he has doubts about the whole Nostradamus shit and overall wisdom of attacking the Soviet Union, which is another whole thing, and precipitating another two-front European war like the one that Germany lost in 1918. After consulting his personal astrologer, so they all have like their own personal astrologer, um, Hess secretly flies to Great Britain on May 8th of 1941 on an unsanctioned mission to broker peace between the two nations. He crash lands in Scotland, where he told a mystified British interrogator that his mission had been inspired, quote, through a dream by supernatural powers. Meanwhile, there was the headlong investment in the development of secret weapons, okay? And this is a whole other thing for the Nazis. They're like very fascinated with border science, like I've talked about. So as Germany's military situation deteriorates, the SS insinuated itself directly into armaments production. And so working from the SS-sponsored Institute for Practical Military Research, Himmler orders that dozens of concentration camps, hundreds of SS scientists, and thousands of slave laborers be appropriated for weapons research and development.
Wow.
I know. And then he agrees with Hitler that qualitative superiority should be achieved by focusing on singular weapons. Then in the summer of 1943, Himmler briefly turns from weapons research to border science and assembles a team of astrologers to try and locate Benito Mussolini.
Okay.
Then I just have a bullet here, and I didn't put anything around it because there's not much else to say. Then he goes back to trying to build something called the death ray device. I don't have anything else. That's it. Nothing ever happened. It didn't happen. But they wanted to build this thing, and it was the death ray device. Anyway, I digress. During the war, Himmler gives this man Weimar various esoteric tasks, such as using his divining rod to look for bombs planted in the synagogues of Krakow, Poland. He also enlists Weimar to train teams of water seekers in the homeopathic gardens at Dachau, which had become a center of wide-ranging border science activity. Eventually, disgusted by a lack of progress, Himmler pulls the plug on... They were trying to search for something called River Gold. It was literally a river of gold. So that's a whole fucking thing, too. So, meanwhile, Himmler's, like, pursuing these weird fucking pet projects. This guy, Kammler, was sponsoring large-scale efforts across the Reich to weaponize border science. The most ambitious of all, which is an anti-gravity device known as the Bell, or Die Glocke, which is one of many top-secret weapons and experiments surreptitiously carried out in Nazi-occupied Eastern Europe. And according to Polish intelligence, a number of German scientists and test subjects died in late 1944 and early 1945 while they were working on some kind of nuclear-powered anti-gravitational device, aka a flying saucer. I know. And then, this was at a facility in Lower Silesia near the Wenceslaus mine on the Czech border. And the efforts, of course, came to nothing. Or so they say. Conspiracy theory. So then... Perhaps, of course, one of the grossest, in the long list of really, really gross things that obviously the Nazis did, there was this quasi-scientific experiment centered on Himmler's deluded efforts to resuscitate dead German pilots who had crash-landed into the Atlantic Ocean, very cold temperatures. They succumbed to essentially hypothermia is what they died from.
Yeah.
He acquires prisoners from various concentration camps. They're dropped into tanks filled with freezing water, held in there until they lose consciousness, and then the researchers attempted to revive them by using artificial and sometimes human heat. And the experiments failed, and more than a quarter of the 300, quote, volunteers perished. Other heartless experiments involved injecting inmates with cancer, typhus, and malaria in a vain attempt to develop a cure for these diseases at that point. And anyone who objected to the inhumane experiments said Himmler was, according to him, was nothing less than a traitor who, quote, preferred to let brave German soldiers die. So that's
Spoiler, they weren't volunteers.
Yeah, quote, volunteers. Yeah. So basically, long story short, the failure of all these crazy experiments, though, wasn't really the fault of science. German physiologist Victor von Weizsäcker often noted after the war, the human experiments may have been conducted under the mask of science, but in reality they were, quote, nonsensical and harmful. And I feel that's putting it lightly, but okay.
Yeah.
In one way or another, the same could be said of the Nazis' long infatuation with all occult practices, miracle weapons, astrological propaganda. There was a parapsychologist, the guy that I mentioned at the very beginning, Hans Bender. He was sitting in an American internment camp in 1945, and he was unapologetic about the whole thing. He said that the West's preference for rational thinking was misguided. He says, quote, "Thinking is an indication of the decay of the brain. Every time a person thinks, it is a sign that a brain cell has died and deteriorated, and the result is a decomposition of thought."
Well, what?
So essentially, he's like, humans are poisoning themselves with too much thought.
Cassie, you're poisoning yourself.
I'm constantly just. Oh my god! Wait, now it's showing my audio is. Oh, my audio went way low. Oh no.
It's
okay
okay.
now.
I can fix it.
Okay, it's back up. Anyway, long story short, he says, quote, "A panther is too clever to think. We must destroy thinking, killing it in its very beginning so thoroughly that it destroys the multiplication of microorganisms as in an infected wound."
I can't even with that.
I can't even with any of this. That's what I have on the Nazis and the occult. There are books and books and books written about this. Pages and pages. There were so many articles, so many things. I tried to distill it as much as I could. Also, again, sorry to everybody that my sound got wonky. That was bizarre. But anyway, that's Nazism and the occult. Fucking wild.
I feel like that should have been an episode by itself.
I feel like I should have been drunk while reading all of that. And those German names would have been real fucking creative at that point. Yeah. So, anyway, I really don't have much to say other than, like, yeah, wow. Wow is it. That's exactly right.
Well,
I know. My favorite is the flying saucer and the death ray.
Yeah.
Also, the interstellar electricity beings. I thought it was really cool, though.
Thinking is decaying your brain.
I know, but reading about the whole, astrology propaganda, like Britain was using to fuck with them for a while, I was like, damn, that's really smart. That's a piece of history I never learned. Like, I wish I had been taught about this shit in college. Like, this is interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But, anyway. That's all I've got for you. Fucking wild.
Okay. Well, on to mine, I guess?
Yeah, while we come down from that mindfuck, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about yours.
So I'm just jumping in. I'm talking about Elvis.
I love that.
I have no idea how to even segue into this.
There isn't one.
There's no good way to follow that.
There you have it.
There's been, and you know, my parents brought up to me, there's been conspiracies about this since his death.
Conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy. That he's still alive.
Shut up.
There are many, many conspiracy theories as to why he's alive, why his death was faked, why he may be alive. There's a whole society of sightings of Elvis.
Oh my god. Okay, sign me up.
Jump right into that.
Yeah.
So we all know that who he is. Some would say that he's the king.
Quote, king. Mm-hmm.
And we most of us know of his passing in August, specifically August 16th, 1997, from an alleged heart attack.
On a toilet, right? He died on the toilet.
Yeah, allegedly.
A king on his throne.
On the throne, yeah.
That's it.
But there are many, many people that believe the king is alive and well.
God, I love this. This reminds me of some other conspiracy theories, but go ahead.
Yeah. I want to preface this by saying, if he were to be alive today, he'd be 88 years old.
Okay. Okay.
Like, let's just keep that in mind.
So let's just, yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to jump into a report that I found that was the most interesting to me. And this one was written literally 29 years ago. So.
Okay.
But this one just caught my attention the most.
It's almost as old as I am.
It's literally as old as I
It's
am.
literally as old as you are. I know. Oh my god.
Okay. This comes from a report in the Roanoke Times. Um, and it just, here it goes. Something was very wrong about what happened at Graceland that night. He began. As he talked, he squeezed his fingers together like he was wringing them from excess energy. His face rarely broke from concentration. The night in question was August 16th, 1977. Only it was really the afternoon when Elvis Presley died at his Graceland mansion in Memphis, Tennessee, or reportedly died, according to Phil Artisan.
Oh, good. We're
I'm
just
going to F
full
that
of
up a
really cool
thousand
names.
times.
Oh, good.
His theory is that Elvis didn't die, that he faked his death to protect himself and his family from the death threats stemming from his work with the government as an agent.
Oh?
Oh.
Okay.
That rumors about his drug use were spread to support cover-ups, and he had been living under assumed identity in the government protection program ever since. But why just him and not his family?
Right.
So, I'm immediately, yeah.
We're gonna, alright, cool.
But, I mean, I guess if he's out of the way, then his family's not in danger.
I mean, I guess, but people are still fucking crazy, you know?
Yeah, there's that, too.
So it's like, yeah, I'm with you.
For proof, Archison has prepared a report for the Presley Commission, an independent group of self-described armchair detectives formed in the 1992 that has been investigating Elvis Presley's death. Archison, 43, is the group's director.
Of course.
The report will be released at a press conference this coming Friday. Again, this report was 29 years ago.
Okay.
At a Camper's Paradise Resort in Moneta. The complicated plot dates back to Richard Nixon's, even before Nixon, really, he explained, when Elvis was appointed an honorary sheriff's deputy in Shelby County, Tennessee. The year was 1968. He prepared his theory with studied phrases of trade. Our federal sources, from everything we can determine, we have reason to believe. I'm not at liberty to say, and he said, history will prove right unless Elvis himself does it first.
This guy's so confident.
Oh, he was very confident.
Like, so confident in this shit. Okay.
In the final analysis, it has to be his decision, he said. The groundwork will have been laid. The shocking truth will be told. Here, according to him, this is the story. This sounds like something out of Law and Order. Bum, bum.
This is the story. Bing, 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 bing.
Thank you.
You know? Yeah, exactly.
From the beginning, when Elvis was appointed a sheriff's deputy in Shelby County, it was more than an honorary position. How else do you explain why he took firearms test and filled out a job application as part of the process?
Oh.
Valid point.
Okay.
There's also evidence that he participated in a drug stakeout as a deputy.
Okay.
From there, his interest in law enforcement intensified. In 1970, he contacted President Nixon, who named him a special agent at a large government agency that would become the DEA. He told Nixon he wanted to help the country. Another honorary title? Not according to him. The DEA doesn't hand out honorary badges, period. It just doesn't happen. At the DEA, Elvis became a government informant who provided the agency with information on drug trafficking in the music and entertainment industry. His work helped uncover case involving the illegal trading of airplanes to celebrities tied to organized crime. Dubbed Operation Fountain Pen by the FBI, Elvis' testimony led to a series of indictments issued, coincidentally, the day before he died. I rest my case. This guy was a cop through and through, he said.
The confidence
The
with which this,
confidence, right?
I rest my case.
Again, this feels like Law and Order.
Big time.
Mob threats then inspired Elvis to fake his own death.
Oh. I'm
Plot
like,
twist.
all right. I mean,
It's always the mob.
I believe this more than the other one, I gotta be honest. Like, already, right off the bat.
Mob threats inspired Elvis to fake his own death to protect himself and his family. The government cooperated in the cover-up. Archison pointed to Elvis' military stint in the army, secretly stationed him at a base in New Jersey instead of in Texas. Yes.
Okay.
Instead of Texas, where he was supposed to be, to keep him away from the media and fans. If the government was willing to protect him in the army, he reasoned, then they would certainly be willing to protect him as an agent.
Okay. I love these. I love these.
Clues about the fake death were everywhere, he said. The coroner who performed the autopsy on Elvis also wrote in medical journals for the Department of Justice, linking him to the agency overseeing the conspiracy. It puts him right smack up to his eyeballs in it.
Oh, no.
Sorry, my phone was going off. Archison said that Elvis followed the lead of his longtime manager, who claimed faked his death to escape his native Holland, and took on a new identity in America as Colonel Tom Parker.
Okay.
So that's his manager.
Okay.
For the funeral, a wax figure of Elvis was used, kept cool by an elaborate system of dry ice and battery-operated soundproof fans located in the casket. How else would you explain why the body was sweating? This was a big thing, and I did go down a rabbit hole.
Okay, hit us.
Like, people were talking about his body sweating and a few other things that were just, like, really eerie, and that it didn't look like him, and it was just something didn't feel right. And yes, corpses don't sweat. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But wax will. He performed his own experiments by cooling a wax candle in the freezer and then taking out in a room temperature. Condensation formed on the candle's surface.
Did they ever explain why he was sweating?
No, nothing was ever explained.
Nobody was like, no. Everybody was like, he's just sweating, okay?
We're just going to ignore that.
Tennessee's fucking hot. Okay.
Yep. Also, there was business of an unclaimed life insurance policy in Elvis's handwriting on his own death certificate, and a woman who received telephone calls from him until 1986.
Oh.
The report will detail everything, Archison promised. It'll also there will be a notion that Elvis had a drug problem. It wasn't Elvis, Archison said. It was the other guys around him. Rumors about his drug use were designed to give the public an explanation for his sudden death.
Okay, it also could have been like those fucking weird peanut butter and like bacon sandwiches or whatever the fuck he ate.
I mean, the man really loved his bacon. Heart attack,
like literally like it, but okay, sure.
Yeah, heart attack, but okay.
Okay, right, okay.
But Archison said the government and the media or somebody went too far. Elvis never wanted to be remembered as a druggie, he said. That's why he believes Elvis, wherever he is, wants the truth told. He wants to clear his name. The history of this whole thing has to be wrong, he said. It bothers me. Elvis is an institution. He helped define rock and roll, changed our culture, and took on a giant risk to help the country. He deserved better.
This is wild. And the passion with which this man is attacking the... Okay. All right.
Right. Initially, Archison, who recently moved to Moneta from Wilmington, North Carolina, was not particularly interested in Elvis's death. He was a fan, partial to Vegas-era Elvis, but he wasn't a huge fan. He was... the news of his death wasn't devastating, but years later, he read a pair of books by Gail Brewer Giorgio, The Elvis Files, and Is Elvis Alive, that piqued his curiosity. The books also contended that Elvis faked his death. That's what made him want to investigate this. It had nothing, like, he wasn't even really a huge fan of Elvis, but it wasn't until reading these books that he, like, needed to investigate things. So that's, like, and which is hilarious because he's clearly passionate.
I know, like, how can you not say that this guy's a huge fan? Like, I was literally sitting here thinking to myself, I was like, there's nothing I care about enough to go as hard as this guy's going. Like, this is like...
Not even Taylor?
No, literally the only thing would be, like, your death. If something fucking shady ever happened. Then I'd fucking go balls to the wall. Hey, that's what we do.
That's fair. I would go balls to the wall for you, too.
I know you would. I know you would. So it's just, like, I find it really hard to believe that this guy just wasn't, like, an Elvis super fan, like, or maybe he was just, like, a closeted Elvis super fan, and he just, like, didn't want to tell
I feel like he was closeted. He had to have been, right?
Like, maybe he, like, actually is the ultimate Elvis fan, and he just didn't want people to know that shit. But now it's like, well, it's right there, buddy. Anyway, carry on.
He goes on to say, for Friday's press conference, he hopes to get national media attention. If he doesn't, he said at least plans to send his reports to Washington. It'll be going to the White House. The truth will come out either way, he said. I couldn't find anything about this press conference.
Did this shit just get, like, wiped?
I feel like it did. Because I couldn't find a video, I couldn't find a recording. Because, I mean, it was in 94. So there had to have been something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't find a damn thing, which was so disappointing.
Wait, though, does that not just fit in so well to the whole conspiracy theory aspect of it?
But why was I able to find this report but nothing else?
You know, that's true. I don't know. Maybe they left this because they were like, hey, this guy's a kook. I don't know.
Yeah. He said, or maybe Elvis himself will come forward. Now, what the other things that I find interesting, that, like, first off, there is literally an Elvis sightings website.
I love that.
The thing that's disappointing about this is there's only one testimony on there.
Oh, no. Is it from this guy?
No!
That would have made it even better. Oh, my God.
Apparently, they're citing... apparently, Elvis is mostly cited in Canada. Along
with Bigfoot.
I'm not mad at that.
Here's a new conspiracy theory. Elvis is Bigfoot. Oh, all right.
Before I get into that, another big reason as to why people think Elvis is alive and well is there is a misspelling on his tombstone.
Oh, no.
So and I say misspelling, his name is Elvis Aaron Presley. Mm-hmm. His tombstone, his middle name is spelled Aaron.
Aaron.
Aaron. It should be spelled Aron. At least people are arguing it should be spelled that way.
I see.
Because it should be honored for his stillborn twin brother.
Oh, okay.
Whose middle name was Garin, actually.
Okay. Okay.
That's a long story. But his father's name, or grandfather, someone else in his family is also Aaron, but they're also spelled Aaron.
Interesting. Okay, so there's...
So, like, when I looked this up, they were like, to answer your question, it's spelled both ways.
What?
Which made no sense to me.
Way to be non-committal. Okay.
A lot of people are like, it's misspelled on purpose because he's actually alive.
Sure. Bum, 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 bum.
There was also a huge theory. There was a homeless man found in San Diego County, or San Diego in general, I'm not entirely sure which, who was going by John Doe, and when they ran his DNA hoping to, like, find out his identity, it perfectly matched Elvis Presley.
Shut the fuck up, really?
Apparently so. When I went down that rabbit hole, Snopes let me know that was false.
Oh, okay. Wow. I got so excited just then.
I got very excited about that.
Holy shit. Okay.
So, just letting our listeners know, because I'm sure our listeners may have heard of that theory as well. So, That one's
Wow.
nipped in the bud. So,
Later.
but I wanted to read this testimony because it was pretty cool.
Okay.
And that will come to the end of it. This is Timmy's Elvis and the Double Take
Oh my God,
testimony.
yes. Okay.
And again, this is a website, the Elvis Sighting Society, and there's a board. Like, this is a whole thing. The board of directors. There's a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer, membership secretary, and members of the board. Like, there's
It's a thing.
It's a thing. People are devoted to the king.
Damn.
I just really wish there was more sightings stories. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Wow.
I can't believe it. I know it was him. I could feel it in my bones. I could sense it in my stomach. It was Elvis Presley. I know it, and don't ask me how because it's beyond human explanation, but I know it was him. The confidence again.
Where can I get some? Do they bottle this shit? Because, damn.
I need it.
Yeah. Hook me up.
I thought this Elvis Sighting Society was a joke, a gimmick, a tongue-in-the-cheek organization for charity. And although that part may be true, I always thought the Elvis is alive and well living in Tweed, Ontario, Canada was just make-believe. So apparently he's living there.
Specifically. Okay.
I was driving through Tweed on my way to Montreal. I was going to stop in Perth to visit a friend. I stopped off in Tweed at a 24-hour Tim Hortons to grab a coffee.
Oh, so Canadian. Okay.
So
like Canadian. You do.
It was late, probably 2 a.m. at least. I pulled off into the parking lot to enter the Timmies.
The Timmies. Good old Timbo Horton. Okay.
I, along with the young man behind the counter and an older gentleman in the corner, were the only two in the Tim Hortons. Not surprising given the time of night, I ordered a double, a muffin, walked over to the seat, and sat down to eat. It was quiet. I sat there relaxed, thinking about how tired I was. A young lady then came out of the back. Someone I had not initially seen when I first entered the restaurant. She walked over to this gentleman, spoke to him. He spoke back, uttering a basic chitter-chatter, but not noticed he had a slight southern accent, which sounded incredibly familiar. I was not a huge Elvis fan, but my mother loved him and used to play his old 45s.
Oh, yeah. Okay, like you do.
You're aging yourself. Anyways. All the time. I know what the guy sounds like. I know what he sounds like. The casual conversation, having been to watch the Elvis documentaries on television growing up. As I said, my mother was obsessed. Anyway, the young girl left him. I walked into the back, or she walked into the back. My face in shock. I swear I must have had the look of surprise on it, as if I had just seen someone jump off a building or something. That's a little dramatic.
Okay. Specific.
The gentleman then looked up from across the restaurant at my stunned, stoned face, smirked, winked his red eye, looked down at his cup of coffee, and kept munching away on whatever the hell he was eating.
Peanut butter and bacon sandwich or whatever the fuck.
Probably. I could feel it. I knew it. It was real. I know all about Tweed and the supposed Elvis lives here thing, but I'm telling you, it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed. It's real, in fact. The funny thing is, everyone thinks it's a joke. That's why it works so well. I finished my coffee and muffin, stood up, walked nervously over to the garbage bin, which was closer to him than me. As I approached him, I couldn't stop staring, eagerly wanting to get a closer look. I opened the swaying door of the garbage bin, tossed my garbage inside, all while trying not to lose focus on the gentleman. I was still in shock, nervous as hell, and staring directly... This sounds so creepy.
This is so creepy. This poor dude.
Staring directly at the side of him. Only the sound was there at the Tim Hortons. That night was the radio bantering away in the back. Some talk show station. As I was about to take my eyes off of him, when he looked up, turned his head, stared straight at me. Serial killer vibes.
I probably would too if somebody was fucking staring at me the whole time I was throwing their shit out. Yeah.
We couldn't have been more than 6 feet away from each other. He smirked, brought his index finger to his lips, said, "Shh." I couldn't believe it. It was the sign. He knew, I knew, he knew it. And you know what? It looked like him too. I'm not saying that. It really did. And an older him, mind you, but I could see it I could really see it. I turned to exit the Timmy's, got in my car, and stared at him through the window for what must have been exactly 45 minutes.
What the fuck? This poor dude who's just eating whatever the fuck he was eating. Oh my god. I would call the cops on him.
Then I started my car and left. I had to. I didn't want to be on the road any longer than I already knew I was going to be. I will never forget it as long as I live. I sat alone in the Tim Hortons restaurant with the king of rock and roll. No one will ever believe me, but that's okay. I don't care. The only one who really matters, anyways, knows.
Wow. First of all, I like that they call Tim Hortons Timmy's.
Yeah, that's very Canadian.
We love that.
So, and there are many, many more conspiracy theories as to why the king is alive. That one was just my favorite. So that's why I went down that one, because the passion in it, obviously. So, what do you think?
I feel unwell after this episode. The amount of crazy shit that we covered in this singular episode.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel unwell.
Wow. What do I think? Well, when I was hearing the first guy talk, you tell everything that he had pointed out and everything, I was like, this is bullshit. Now that I hear Mr. Timmy Horton, I don't know. I mean, it's easy though. Anybody can make up shit and be like, yeah, this is my story. I mean, just look at the I don't know. There's Reddit, all kinds of shit on Reddit. It's not no sleep. It's something, but people make shit up, and everybody's like, ooh, yeah, but
and
I don't know.
This made me go down a rabbit hole of apparently a lot of previous celebrities faking their deaths. So I'm gonna be covering some other conspiracies.
Conspiracy theories. I love it.
Because, really, I fell down a rabbit hole.
Do you think Elvis is alive?
I don't know what to think.
I feel unwell.
I feel very unwell, and my tummy did some weird things. You know what my intuition does to me, and
an autobiography.
I don't know what to think. I will say this: I haven't watched the Elvis movie, and now I think I might.
Well, maybe I'll watch the Elvis movie. I have to watch. Actually, Never Have I Ever. The final season has dropped, so I'm watching that.
That's fair.
Yeah, but maybe then I'll check out Elvis. Wow,
I'm
I don't
currently
know.
watching that, actually.
Hell yeah, I'm only one episode
so far. It's
in.
really good, just so you know.
Okay, good, great. I love that show. I'm so sad it's over. Anyway, I don't have an outro.
Until next time.
Yeah, stay strange.